Hey everyone, it's Caroline Owen here, also known as Klein, with Wild Women Expeditions. And I'm chatting today with three of our guides from the United States National Parks trips. So Megan, give us a wave, Megan. She will be titillating us with tales from the Yellowstone multi-sport adventure. And Alex will wow us with the wonders of Moab on the Arches and Canyonlands multi-sport adventure. And Lauren will lure us with the luxury location at the end of the Yosemite National Park adventure. So before we get going, I'm gonna pull up a map to just get you oriented. So we are looking at this area here in the western part of the United States. So Arches, excuse me, down here in Utah, Yellowstone up here, and it's in Wyoming, close to the border of Idaho. And then way over here near the coast is Yosemite in California. So that's where we're looking at today. And before we again get into the nitty gritty, what I would love to hear from each of you ladies, Megan, Alex, and Lauren, to tell us a bit about who you are and maybe what you love about being a wild woman. So Megan, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm Megan. I'm a guide in Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks, which are also in Montana a little bit, tiny little
Okay,
bit.
great, thank you.
Wyoming has about 97% of it, 96% of the park. But I've been an outdoor guide for about 10 years, and I've guided with wild women for about 4 years in a couple different locations. I'm a wilderness EMT, a Montana Master Naturalist, and I have a master's in outdoor education. Wild women trips are my absolute favorite. The community is so incredible, and I still keep in touch with so many of the women that I've had on trips, like as many as 4 years ago, literally like texting with them about what they're up to, going on dates and like new trips they're going on. And I love the Facebook group. I just love the connections made there, and I just can't wait to run as many trips as possible this summer with wild women.
Awesome, thank you so much, Megan. And Alex, how about you?
Hi, my name is Alex. I am the guide in the Arches and Canyonlands trips. You also might get lucky and see me up in Yellowstone and Tetons. I am the Southwest Regional Manager, but a senior guide, have been for a few years now. I have a background in recreational therapy. I'm also master certified in Leave No Trace. I love the wild women trips. I went on my first one last year because of the connection, kind of like what Megan was saying. I still have a connection with a few of the women that I went on trips with, and that is definitely my favorite thing about them.
Awesome, thanks so much, Alex. And Lauren.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lauren. I have been guiding for about 8 years, and I work all up and down the west coast of the United States, and I'll be leading this trip in Yosemite. So I am a wilderness first responder. I'm an EMT and a Leave No Trace trainer, and I just love being in the field with women. I'm a new mom as of 15 months ago, so I'm really looking forward to getting back in the field. This will be among one of my first trips since having a baby. So I'm looking forward to just connecting to women. Anytime we take people out into the wilderness, it's just amazing to me how everything else melts away. And you just really get to connect with people on a deep level in a whole new environment. I love teaching people how resilient and powerful they can be. And I'm looking forward to bringing that to this group of women this summer.
Wow, what a powerhouse of a team, ladies. So great to hear a little bit more about you. Thank you for sharing. And Megan, if you would like to tell us a little bit more about the trip that you're leading in Yellowstone, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, awesome. So for the Yellowstone and Grand Teton tour, we have a mix of hotels and front country camping. So we start in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where we meet all the group, get acquainted over a lunch at a local brewery, and then head out for a kind of acclimatization hike. A lot of women are coming from a little bit lower elevation, so we kind of ease into the week with a short hike. And then we all go to a welcome dinner together, and we spend that first night in a nice hotel in downtown Jackson. The next morning we wake up and we explore Grand Teton National Park. So we get 2 parks for the price of 1 in this trip. It's all part of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, but they are 2 distinct parks that have completely different things going on that are both beautiful and awesome in their own way. So we explore Grand Teton, we go to some historic homesteads and look out for wildlife. And after lunch, then we head out along the Snake River on a scenic float tour entirely within the national park. And that is just super awesome, nice and relaxing. We're out looking for bald eagles. Occasionally we've seen moose along the riverbanks and all kinds of wildlife out there. We work with, usually if we're lucky, we get an awesome, the only woman who boats down that section of River Lynn. So we work with her a lot on these trips. So looking forward to spending time with her as well. Then that afternoon, we head up into Yellowstone National Park where we set up camp. So for the next 4 nights, we'll be camping in Yellowstone National Park. It's front country camping, so we will be just kind of like car camping. We drive right up to the spot, but it's nice and secluded, really wooded. We will be setting up our own tents. We also provide sleeping pads, and sleeping bags are available for rent, but this is primitive camping in tents. We try to make it as comfortable as possible. We set up a little cooking area with twinkle lights, and we've got chairs, and that's some of my favorite parts of the trip is bonding with the women at camp in the evenings. And then over the next few days, we're just spending our time on the trails of Yellowstone, looking out for wildlife. We do one morning where we wake up super early and head up into the Lamar Valley to look for wolves if possible. We're usually pretty lucky with that. And we also see bears, bison, elk, bighorn sheep, and more. We can hike to some backcountry thermal features, some petrified trees, mountaintops, go into an awesome colorful canyon. And the hikes we pick kind of depend on the conditions, the weather, who shows up for the trip, but Yellowstone has so many miles of trails. And again, the nice thing about having a base camp is we can kind of make those decisions based on how the group is feeling. And we also usually have at least 2 guides. So if we've got different abilities, we can kind of separate, offer 2 different hikes in the same day. And every hike in Yellowstone is incredible. So we've got a lot of options there. On our last day, we head up into Paradise Valley where we do an awesome horseback ride up into the mountains. It is a beginner ride, but it's pretty challenging. We don't run on the horses, but we are kind of going up the mountains. We have an awesome picnic lunch with views over Paradise Valley. And then we head back down where we soak in a geothermal pool to kind of relax our muscles after some horseback riding and all that hiking we did all week. Then we enjoy dinner in town. And then we make the about 4-hour drive back to Jackson Hole for our final night in a hotel before we head off. That drive is actually one of my favorite parts of the trip as well, because we're driving through the parks at dusk when wildlife can be really active. So we've had some really special wildlife encounters along those drives. One time we even had a little lady black bear kind of followed our vehicle along for a while, and we just kind of had her all to ourselves, able to, walk along with her as, she sort of escorted us down to Jackson Hole, which was really special. So then we end, with a hotel in Jackson. We wake up the next morning, do our final little breakfast, have some time to shop in town, and then we head back to the airport where we say our farewells.
Wow, that sounds like a lot packed into a short period of time, and just a lot of beauty. It sounds like a lot of wildlife and just a lot of variety in the kinds of hikes that you do, and then a horseback ride just to keep it really interesting. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much, Megan. That's a great description of the trip. Really appreciate it. And Alex, you're up next, so sharing about your trip.
Yes, so this is the Arches and Canyonlands tour. It is new this year for Wild Women, which I'm really excited about. So we are going to be starting in Salt Lake City. So you'll fly into Salt Lake City, we'll get the group together, and we'll have a lunch in town before we make the 4-hour drive down to Moab. And then upon arrival, we will settle into a hotel for the night. And kind of prepare for the week ahead. And then we'll have dinner at one of those delicious Moab restaurants. There are so many good places in Moab, so I'm really excited to share that with you all. And then on day 2, we'll really start gearing up for the parks. So we'll spend our second day all day in Arches. It has the highest concentration of arches in the world, over 2,000, and we'll get to see a good chunk of them. And so we'll be hiking, spending majority of the day in the park, and then we will make our way to our yurts. So we'll spend the next 3 days glamping 4 nights glamping in yurts, which are just really amazing because they offer kind of a mix between a hotel and camping, especially for maybe some who aren't really ready to commit to camping. So these yurts, you may have a roommate or two. They do have a bed in them. So you will need to bring your own sleeping bag, or we can provide those for rent if you would like. They also have lighting and air conditioning and heat. And so it's really a quite nice place to stay for the next few days. And that is located in Dead Horse Point State Park. So we're actually getting a 3-for-1 on this one. And then we'll have dinner that night at camp, which is, again, like Megan said, also one of my favorite moments is just like bonding over cooking and food. It brings us all together. And then we'll head to Canyonlands National Park the next day. So Canyonlands is broken up into a few different districts, and you get to see 2 of them. So the first one is called the Island in the Sky. We'll spend the day hiking there, doing a lot of various hiking, checking out some really iconic spots in the park. There's also some arches and some living history in terms of the native people. It's really great. Then we'll head to a full day of whitewater rafting. I'm super excited for this. We're going to spend the whole day on the Colorado River. I will say in fall, it might feel like a little bit more of a scenic float. Just this section of the park that we're accessing is pretty mild. So rapids are like a level 1 or a level 2. In the fall, we might see more of a level 1. So it'd be a great day to just like be the heat, be on the water, and just be super lovely. And then the next day, we're going to gear up for another adventure. We're going to go canyoneering. So we'll spend about 3/4 of the day canyoneering. This is a beginner friendly like trip in terms of canyoneering. You will have to be maneuvering through like canyons, hiking, doing some rappelling. So I'm just setting that expectation that yes, it is beginner friendly, but also be prepared for that. And then we'll end the evening with a sunset hike on that day. Our kind of last full day, we will head to the Canyonlands Needle District. Not many people make their way out to this part of the park. It's about a little bit further away. So it's where y'all are really in for a treat. We get to hike actually in the canyons and just looking at some amazing rock formations. And then we'll end the night in town with dinner and at a hotel. So we'll say goodbye to our glamping and kind of freshen up as we have our final breakfast on our final day and then make the drive back to Salt Lake City.
Wow, that's also, I love the idea of glamping in yurts. That just sounds so nice to come back to that little bit of luxury in the backcountry in the middle of it. So wow, wonderful. So really different. And is this picture behind you is that something that women could expect to see on the trip?
I could see this exact view on the Colorado River when we're whitewater rafting. Yes.
Right on. Wow, that is stunning, stunning. Thank you so much, Alex. And Lauren, over to you and a little bit more about Yosemite for us.
Yeah, so this is also an itinerary that's new to Wild Women this year, and I'm so excited about it. We've designed this itinerary to kind of crescendo. So we'll start off with some more mild hikes. When we meet, we're first going to go see some of the giant sequoia in Mariposa Grove. Our second day will be spent exploring Yosemite Valley, which is probably the most iconic place in the park. El Cap behind me, this is what Alex Honnold free soloed. We will not be doing that. But you'll see some of these views, some of the hot spots in the park. This is the place that most people go, and it's only an 8-mile long valley. So we're really going to be kind of immersed in kind of the front country side of it. The next day, we're going to be doing some of our prep with backpacking. So we'll be taking our packs out, getting kind of used to it, how they feel, how heavy they might be as we explore some of the high country up in Tuolumne Meadows. So still some people out there, but definitely more away from the crowds as the trip goes. Now, these first few days, we're going to be staying in cabins. So we have campfires and picnic tables, but you do get to sleep in a bed at night, which is very nice, especially because we're preparing for some time in the backcountry. So after our prep day in Tuolumne Meadows, we have a nice early bedtime so that we can wake up and start the second part of our trip, which is the backpacking portion. So backpacking can feel really intimidating to a lot of people. The idea that you're like carrying everything that you need for 3 days on your back is scary, but we've designed this trip to be really beginner friendly. So the first day of backpacking is going to feel pretty tough. We are gaining a lot of elevation. You're going to have a full pack, full water, all of our food, but the views are going to be so worth it in a very short period of time. So we start our backpacking trip from Tunnel View, which is this iconic view of the valley. And it's probably the place where we're going to see like tour buses and a ton of people. But within 5 minutes of hiking, we're just going to be completely away from it all. And the trail that we're going to be backpacking takes us along the rim of the valley. And we're actually hiking along this portion that's typically somewhat accessible from a road. The hikes are accessible from a road, but that road is actually closed this year for construction. So a lot of the places, the viewpoints that we're going to be seeing along our backpacking trail are going to be ours to enjoy. Dewey Point, Taft Point, Sentinel Dome, these are places that usually see a lot of foot traffic, but they're really going to be pretty vacant when we're there. So the other good thing about the backpacking portion of this trip is we're actually going to be able to put our packs down at camp after our first day. And the next few days, we're going to do what we call slack packing, which all that means is that we don't need to pack our tents up. We don't need to bring all of our heavy gear. We're going to hike out from camp to some of these viewpoints and then come back to the same place. So again, this is why it's a really great beginner-friendly backpacking trip. So you get a little bit of taste of a heavy pack, but you get to also put it down and enjoy some views. So after all that hard work for a few days, taking in these amazing views, spending time in the backcountry, getting to know our gear, learn how to filter water, how to cook in the backcountry, we're going to pack it all back up. And we're going to scoot out to Tenaya Lodge, which has a full spa, it has a pool, a wonderful restaurant, so that we can spend our last night soaking in a little bit of luxury before we all get on an airplane. And I will tell you, after 3 days in the backcountry, it's going to be the greatest shower you've ever had in your life. There's nothing better than a fresh shower after being in the backcountry. So this, like I said, this trip is perfect for folks that want to like maybe push it a little bit more in terms of the difficulty, but it's totally a great opportunity, even if you haven't backpacked before. If you are willing to put in a little bit of training, even starting now, you can be totally ready for this trip by the time it comes around. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to get into the valley again. I'm excited to share this with women. And like I said, I'm excited for those moments when you've like not seen other people for a day and you don't know how you smell, you don't know how you look, and you just get to sit around with your fellow women and just bond and feel empowered and strong.
Beautiful. I learned a new term there and I love it. I'm gonna hold on to that, is slack camping.
Yeah, slack packing. Yeah.
Slack packing. Yes, yeah, I love it. And I appreciate this idea of you're going to work a little bit hard to get there. It's going to be really worth it. And then you get a few easy days once you kind of push through and got all your stuff where you're going. So what a great concept. Yeah, thank you so much, all three of you, for sharing about these, trips in really quite different trips, and all unique and beautiful and wonderful in their own way, with a little bit of luxury in there, a little bit of like, we're gonna kick your ass, and just a whole lot of connection and fun by the sounds of it, at least with you three leading the way. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to share with us a little bit about yourselves and the parks that you are loving to share with us. I really appreciate it. It's been great. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.